Good morning, traders. Welcome to the daily webinar. I hope all of my subscription traders also had a very good weekend. It was a long one. I hope you enjoyed it. And we're starting. So the dollar index, we already last week figured out that this would be all, and this was the 1, 2, 3, although this one was a little more corrective, that is it. And we're going up. We made a flat here, which we assumed that would be a flat. It's going up. I think we expect a sharp move here. There is a pullback in here, but that looks too small. Let me make that piece bigger, right? There is a little pullback in here, but I don't think that's a contracting flat or a small running flat like this. In any case, if you put an entry order here and you're in the trade, let's say you were trading this and you're in the trade, great, good job. If not, look for another flag. Or if they pull back like this, that would be a good job, right? That would be a good trade here, basically. So we assume that is a contracting flat, but we expect that it could be a running flat, right? Those are very important things, because if you're in the trade and you're managing it, you will be cautious that if it does this, you don't have to scare you. You just have to know what to do, right? You're expecting it, then it doesn't scare you. And you don't panic and you don't get, all worked up as to what you should, oh my God, what looks what's happening, what should I do, right? You know how to manage. That's the power of knowledge. Power of knowledge helps you understand where you are in any situation, even in life, not only there. And my bad, I forget to address my YouTube traders. I tend to forget that this one is going to be in YouTube. So to my YouTube traders, hope you guys had a great weekend too. I know you were expecting my video yesterday, but sorry, it was Easter Monday and we took the day off. So basically, what I'm going to do to compensate that is I'm going to give you 1 week of free videos. So this entire week from today, you're going to see all my daily videos. Now, you should subscribe to get them in time. I'll try to bring them out early so you can get them and they're useful for you. And if you like them, please help share it so more people can see it. Let's go. Silver. So it went up some more. It started to come down here, but I didn't think that was going to be the drop because we were expecting some kind of a running flat. We had this sharp one and there wasn't any in here, but not as big as this. I think this might still not even be it. We might eventually go with one of them, one of these smaller ones in here for this. Now, this is a pretty sharp move. The question is, should we put it with this one for that running flat? Because remember, this contracting flat wasn't the best option at the same time, right? So it could be that running flat. If it is that running flat, then if that is the running flat, then I think we could probably go with that option, that this, instead of a contracting flat, that's a running flat, this one. And if that is the running flat, then is this turning, right? Is this trying to go down from that point? If it's not going down, is it making a deeper correction before it continues to go? Because we have an impulse and we have a flag. And that means if we have an option whereby it could go down, we should sell, right? And there is an option for that. So I think a sell setup here is not a bad idea. But a sell there, it's manageable. We can manage it. 15, pretty good. This piece was a little slow, but I think this consolidation is what we're more keen on. I would probably put this as a future running flat, or this one is a small flag, and this is just starting the downside with a small flag in here. Either way, it wouldn't make a difference to us. If this tag you and go back up, expect this running flat. One more drop, put it to break even, right? So I think we're looking for this down. These might be smaller corrections in a much lower time frame, because the bigger correction seems to be the one forming here now. And I don't think it's, again, is it a contracting flat with this? Then just put, or with this one, is it a contracting flat with this one? If that's the case, we're going down. If not, it is going to tag you here, pull you back a little, make a running flat, and then drop. But it's a sell setup. You should take it, because if it's a contracting flat, it will not pull back. It will just tag you and go. So we'll go with the sell setup, and then we'll manage that trade. I think it's a nice trade. We should stay to that. So this was a good buy. This would probably take you out for small profits. This one could drop really fast. If it doesn't drop fast and it's making a deeper correction, we still have a chance to get out for positive. Gold, this was the buy, take it off. You should have got it a little lower, but you probably make a little money there. Again, should we put this as the running flat? You can make an argument for this, whether this is the running flat, not with this piece, but from that one coming down. Or whether you're making this as the running flat. That could also be an argument there, right? Whether that's a running flat. because this looks like a flat of its own. If you look at this piece here, depending on whether you put this as a separate correction or you put it with this, right? It could be a flat of its own. If this is the running flat, then this would just probably stop here and go back up. Do we have a sell setup? Well, it's a little different from the silver, but you can make an argument for running flat forming here. I wouldn't be surprised if they do this and then drop. Now, is the running flat tradable? It is tradable if you can manage it, right? Especially if it turns out to be running flat there for more downside. That'd be a good one. In the big picture, we did make 1, 2, 3 down, and we're pulling back as a deeper correction. It's not uncommon for that to happen. We have seen cases where you make a very nice correction, and then you just go and make a much deeper one, right? So I'll probably find a dozen of those where you had a correction already and it just goes straight into deeper correction. Let's go find some of those. Well, there are a lot of them. For example, you would get this small one, then they go and they make a deeper one, but that could be part of them. I'm looking for one more in a corrective structure. There you had a little one here, like you had a little correction there, and it drops, and then it just goes straight into a deeper correction before you get a big drop. So that normally happens. It's not strange. So in this case, you got a big one, you drop, you make a deeper one, all right? You got this 1, 2, 3, and then you're making a deeper one. If this is going to drop here, and I think it's very likely it could, we would look for the sell setup. The 15-minute flag might be a little dangerous simply because of this. Simply because of this possibility. So what I would say is let it drop, make another flag, and then we sell. Now we go for the 1 hour flag, right? Not the 15-minute, the 1 hour. If you want to take the 15 minutes, or this is pretty much an hourly flag, you can take this one. And or take this goal, for example, it's a sell, right? Remember, every sell opportunity you get here, you sell. So if anybody sold anywhere here, we're not buying. This went up, but we're not buying. If you sell anywhere here this morning or anywhere, there was a running flat there, you did good. Put it to break even in a couple, and give it an hour or two and then put the break even. Can we look at this as a possible running flat? I think there's a good chance you could look at that as a possible running flat. Can we look at this as a possible running flat? There's a good chance you can look at that as a possible running flat. So we'll have to wait and see which one is the running flat. One of them is. In that case, what happens here is important. If it reverses, we take the buy. If it consolidates again, you sell. If you should be in the sell already before I come in the room, if anybody took this running flat sell, that's a good one. And I think it wasn't difficult to see this, right? Put an entry under the low. That would have been a good trade. If you're not in it, then let it drop, let it make another one, and then we sell. This time we're going for a 1 hour flag. Let this drop, make a 1 hour flag, and then we go for it. Remember, we thought this would be a 1 hour flag. It went up, no big deal. We're not looking for the buy on this pair, especially. Selling the selling on Thursday, right? I think that was on Thursday. On Euro was perfect. I said when it breaks this low, start looking for your exit strategy. That means you should have closed the trade somewhere here. That's a perfect trade. You can't want one better. We're making another flat. Pretty much take this out. We're making another flat. We've got an impulse. We're getting a correction, and we pretty much sure this is going to go back one more. It should go up one more. Back to the top there, and then we get another drop. We're getting another flat there for another sell. It might even be a running flat if this comes and break the low before it goes. So you might be able to, depends on your skill level, you might be able to get a buy. Short-term, very short-term buy, a pretty risky one. If you can't handle that risk, don't take the trade. But you're definitely going to take the sell. And we will try to do it like this one. We didn't get this sell, right? The earlier sell would have been this one. We missed that, but we got this one. So we'll repeat the same thing here. We let it go up. We'll let it drop. We'll let it go up. And then we'll try to get the sell somewhere here coming down. Because now we know, right? Now we know. I think this one was a little iffish for us, right? I think all of you remember that. But now we know that this is pretty much a flat. There's no other option to that. So, and we're going down, which means normal, pretty much what we expected it to do, right? How low this thing can drop, it can come pretty low. We might or might not get this. We'll decide where to put that, if there's anything in the past or not. But we can come to break this low. So there's a lot more downside in it. It's getting a little slow down in the momentum here. You can see the possibility of that divergence. You will see this divergence because we broke that low as well, this impulse down. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a sharp spike like this up. I think none of us would be if we get that. It's not going to happen right now because we're definitely going to get this flat first. We will get this sell, and then if it starts to go up, great. But if it continues to make flat, we will go until we get that. If we break the low before we get that, we'll put that with something else, and then we'll start to look for the upside from the break of the low, right? So if you're new to my channel and you're watching it for the first time, we anticipate that this would come and break the low simply because of the patterns we're looking at. The only thing I don't like about this is the contracting flat, but that's what we have. So we'll go with what we have. And we'll see when we break the low what happens, because this whole thing here does look corrective. This entire piece here looks very corrective. So when we break the low, depending on how low they go, there's a good chance we could start an up move. A very good probability for that. So how low it's going to go, I don't know. We don't need to know that. We'll keep trading it, right? So 2 possible trades here today. Keep your eyes out for them. I'll be in the room I'll be in the room pretty often. Today's Tuesday. Let's see what news events we have. Oh, we had news this morning in New Zealand. Forget about that. We don't have really any serious news event to affect the market, so it's going to be slow, but I'll try to come in a few times. And let's go. Pong. This was an amazing buy. We closed it. We put an entry here to buy that. We put it when it was at the bottom here, so but it didn't go. It didn't break out, so it actually dropped. I didn't expect that drop to happen. We don't have anything to go with this one. And I definitely don't think it's this one. It's not equal, right? So the question is, are we making a bigger flat here, a bigger running flat? Because that is really sharp, right? So take this out. If any one of you took the sell here this morning on a probably, you know, 100, that this could be, you're probably looking at this as some kind of a contraction here. Not a bad idea, just, you know, keep your stop on it. I do think it could come here, make this, drop a little more here, and then probably do this. If that happens, that'd be amazing. If it just goes up in here, no problem. We'll try to see if we get the buy, which might be likely if we get it like this one. If we don't get the buy, we'll definitely take the sell down, because it looks like a flat forming to me. We're way at the bottom here, which means it's a flat. Right? Can it become a running flat? Which means, can this actually break this low and then go back up? So let me take a pause here, because there are thousands of people who will be watching this video, and not all of them are, you know, traders with the knowledge we have of wave analysis. And when I say things like that, traders like, well, where is that coming from? Right? Where is that? Why you're trying to look for it to go up first before you sell? For those of you who are new to it, even those seasoned traders who watch me, right? Because I got a note from one trader also saying that he's pretty good at patterns. This is how he started. He said, I'm pretty good at patterns. I've been watching you for 4 years. I'm pretty good at patterns. I just don't see where the trades are, right? And I can tell you immediately what the problem is there. The problem is there, you recognize patterns. You can't forecast patterns. Those are 2 different concepts, right? I recognize a car. I can't make a car, right? That's a whole different thing. If you show me a car, I know it's a car, I see it. If you give me all the parts and you said, okay, make a car, then I have a problem. The same thing with patterns. You can see patterns after the fact. You can recognize patterns. You just can't trade them because you can't forecast them. You can't make the patterns. You can't literally see how this pattern could develop, because you don't know all the possibilities of existing patterns and how their features and their characteristics and how they behave. And that is why you can't trade them. That is why you don't see the trades the way we see the trades. So I send a message to him. Okay, if you think you really know them, let's have a chat, and I'll give you a chart and show me what you see and show me the forecast, right? If he comes back, I'll let you know how that goes, but I haven't heard back from him. So coming back to traders who are watching this, what we look at is big structure and small structure. They're all based on patterns. And we're looking at this. We're looking at, you have this up move, and you have this down move, and you have this up move. And this is coming down. So there's a very high probability that this could come and retest this low before it goes back up. That's one way to look at this pattern. Again, that is one way to look at this pattern. So you're going to say, wait, you just told us about pattern. Why are you saying there's only one? Because patterns are complex. They're very, very complex. So what we do is we break up the complexity into simple parts. And you could have 3 waves, you could have 5 waves, you could have 7 waves, you could have much more. You could have a simple pattern that merges into something much more complex eventually, right? And then that by itself, when you thought it ended, becomes much more complex. And this is where it becomes difficult for you to understand patterns if you don't know that part of it, right? If you don't understand that this could come here, or it could end up doing this, whereby this just do this, go back up there, come back down here, go back up there, drop, make a new low, and then go back up. Can it continue this for a while more? Of course. And it's stayed for a very, very long time. Now, knowing that is understanding how it will develop. And as this piece is developing, you will make decisions on each piece for your today's trade. Not for your trade for the whole week, for today's trade. So that is why we look at the 1 hour and we said, okay, we're going down. Good. Do we see anything that says a change in direction? Not as yet. I see a slowdown in the momentum, but that's not a change in direction. That's a slowdown in the momentum, which means you're looking for some kind of a correction or so. Now, when this was coming down so slow, we were thinking, could it be that we'll make one more of this up, make a running flat there, and then drop? Now, the question is, can we look at this as a running flat? You can. You can look at that as a running flat. If that is a running flat, then this becomes a very sharp wave to the downside. It's not actually going very sharp, right? Now, if it breaks this low, makes a flag, we will sell. Absolutely. So what I just told you that we are looking for a move up and then the sell might not happen. It might just break this low, make a flag, and we will already be in the sell, but you will not be in that sell because that's an update I'll have to do. But if you follow me this week, you will get that update. And I will explain to you why, right? Why, when it breaks that low, we're selling and how we're relooking at that pattern. Now, I think that this is making, based on what we have, I think this is a sharp move. This is more of a corrective move. We're going to get one more up. We're going to make a running flat here, and then we're going to drop. Now, why is that important? That is important because if that happens, you got to trade from here going down. What if that doesn't happen? What if it doesn't do that? What if it doesn't make that pattern? Well, you can go on and start typing in my YouTube video, hey, look at this guy, he said it's going to go up, but it's actually dropping. Because while you will be doing that, we will be selling this. While you will be on YouTube trying to comment on how you got it all wrong, we will already be in this sell, making money. Because we would have relooked at the pattern that when you break this low, well, this one is actually the running flat. Any consolidation here will become a sell. Because when you break the low, it has to either consolidate or it has to reverse. If it reverses, we go with the small running flat. If it consolidates, we go with the previous running flat that we thought that didn't look so good, but okay, we'll take it. So when I do weekly updates and you have a change in structure, it doesn't mean we're not trading them. It just means you don't get those trades. That's all it means. And I will show you that more on Aussie and New Zealand. Remember when I showed you that Aussie broke out of this structure, and the very likelihood is when they break out of a structure like this, they tend to come to break this top. But I also warn you that it doesn't go in a straight line. They're deep pullback, 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 pullback. There's a lot of pullbacks before it get there. And there is a chance that this move will pull back. So we went in it and it started to pull back. We were selling this down. And when it comes here, I said, okay, be careful now. Two things you have to look for. There is a possibility that this could be a running flat. That means we'll go back up. Now, that is just a possibility. If I'm wrong about that, then this is not part of that running flat. This one will consolidate here. We were here when I said it will consolidate here and we will sell. If consolidate here, we will sell. And if we sell the break of this here, the likelihood it's going to come to break this low. So this might be a trade. We will be getting 3 or 4 or 5 trades down to that level, right? What happens if it breaks that low? Does it change the bigger upside structure? No. All it did is made this pattern more complex. This still is the impulse. This will still probably, I don't know, they do something like this, come back here, do this, go back there, come back here, and then go. Now, I can show you a pattern like this right now in the chart here. I'm already looking at one here. See, kind of do this, make that big flat, come here, do, but still go back up. And then what happened? Drop, because this was a correction. This would be a correction, and this would take off. See? Now that's a complex part of patterns. It's not that they don't work. It's that if you fixed yourself on it has to be this, you have a problem. But if you said, okay, let's see what it's doing and what it could possibly be. And if it is this one, then what you're expecting it to do next and how you take advantage of that. What if it doesn't, if it's not that one? Then it will be another pattern. As long as you know all the patterns, you will look at, okay, if it's not that pattern, what is the most likely one it's making now? Okay, let's go with that. And let's see if we have a setup for a trade there. And if you get a setup, you take a trade. It's very simple when you understand it. When you don't, it's complex. Right now, we're looking for a sell setup. And by, I don't know, by the next couple hours, that could turn into a buy setup. Because if this here, right now, I'm looking at this as a possible flag making for downside. But if this thing goes there and make a flag here, we'll be in a buy. We wouldn't be selling this anymore because there's no flat forming. There's no correction. It just take off. It made a flag here, and that first is a perfect buy setup. And why would that be a buy setup? Because we'll be looking at this as a running flat, and that one to come break this stuff. Because there is a possible pattern like that. So if you want to understand this thing, you have to study it in detail the way we do. Understand the complexity, understand the possibilities, understand what is building right now, because you're making forecast. And forecast can change because if there's a change in the structure, you have to change that forecast, right? It's not about you being right or wrong about a forecast. It's, can you recognize what it's doing right now? And if that changes, can you recognize the change in it? Because if you can, then you have a problem, right? I don't know what you're going to do about it, but you do have a problem. So let's hope you can, you can look at those changes and understand that the chart is changing the pattern and you can adapt to that. So right now, I think we'll probably make a consolidation here and drop. And if that works, great for us. New Zealand is doing the same thing. New Zealand, I did a trade and I did a video in New Zealand. You guys should definitely watch that video. It explains the whole thing only in New Zealand. It's only 5 minutes. You should go watch it. It shows you the weekly, the daily, the 4 hour and everything. And I actually did when we were at the top there. And I said, well, we're starting to sell this because very likely it's going to break through and go down. I already explained that in many of my videos before, because we're looking at this structure and it looks very corrective. Now, this one is pretty, it's longer than this one. So there's a tendency to exclude that possible running flat and look more downside. We're selling this all the time and we'll continue to sell it. I do think it's going to drop. Now they're making a flag here. That's perfect. That's a good sell setup. I don't think the flag is completed as yet. This was a sell setup. There was a sell setup here. I wasn't there yesterday. If any of my traders took it, they did well. And there's a sell setup that might form here today. If that happens, perfect, we'll sell it. I don't see any possibility of this one taking off to the upside right now. But if it does, then we will change that view. Right now, the view is it's going to come and it's going to break this low. And then we will go back up, right? So what I needed to do is come break this low and then either do this or do that. Either way, we'll be buying. Once the low is broken, we'll start to look for buy setup. So right now, we'll sell our way down to the bottom. Now, there is a possibility that you will get a deeper correction at some point. I don't know whether it's going to be after this drop, you start to get a deeper correction like this or like this, for example. See that drop, correction, drop. So far, we have a drop. We haven't had a daily correction. Like this drop, correction, drop. So there's maybe after you break this or even right here, it can start that daily correction and then drop, break the low, and then go back up. See? So you have to be aware of that as well. See how it's complex, right? It's not simple, but it's not difficult. It's not impossible to understand. If you do this every day the way we do it, you will understand all the complexity of it. So right now we're looking for a sell setup. CAD didn't break out. I'll probably do a CAD update for you this week. It's still in the sideways move. I showed you this sideways move earlier and I said, well, we were expecting it at some point to break out. It's not breaking out. It's still here. And as you can see, eventually we're still expecting this to break out like that. Now, here's two things you watch for. If it breaks out there, would it actually make a new high? And this is all the correction. Or is it going to do something like this? break out here, go back to the top there, make a flat here, make a new low, and then go back up. Because it will go back up, right? This is the B part of it. Can it make another correction as big as that? Work its way back to the top here, make a new low here, and then go back up. Now, if you're talking to my traders, they're looking at all of this and they can immediately see all the patterns as I'm developing them. If you can't see them, then there's a problem, right? Again, there is a problem there. This is the impulse, this is the correction, we're gonna go up. So what you want to do is you want to get to the bottom of this every time. Bottom of this level every time. Right now, we made a flat here. So this is gonna be very complex. I can tell you that in advance. You're making a correction here. That is a likelihood you're gonna do this. You're gonna break this stop. But that would not be the takeoff because that one would have to come back down like this. And then you get the takeoff, then you get this one up. That's normally how the patterns develop, right? In this case, I don't see an exception to that rule as yet. I don't see it developing into something else as yet, right? So for now, we will go with that is how it's going to develop, which means we'll be looking for a buy setup here this week for that trade. And then we'll see if we get a sell setup back to this level and then buy again. So let's go into that in the 1 hour. Okay, so you've got a sharp move down. You've got a sharp move up and you're making a flat here. Perfect. It has to go back up, come back down, and then take off. Well, if it comes all the way to the bottom here and then go back up, we'll get a regular flat and then we'll get an up move. So it's an easy trade. That's an easy one. That's not the difficult one, right? This should probably get a number of easy trades in it. That's like we had these trades here going up. Swiss, nice buy. I hope my traders got it. Watch it when it's at the top. You were out of that trade already. There was a trade here this morning. It's going really slow. You have to be careful. We're breaking the top, right? And when we break that top, what's the next thing? Probably downside, right? It might even break out a little from the top, but I don't think we're taking off. We still have these two sharp waves here to deal with. And I am not seeing any contracting flat in the middle, right? So I am not putting like this for a contracting flat and this is my impulse going up. Not happening, right? So we will take all of this as consolidation. Even if you take this piece with it, all of this is consolidation. And at some point, we're going to have this. And then we're going to get that. So right now, watch for the turning point to come back here. It's going up. It could go a little higher. It could be a running flat. It could be a long drawn out running flat, but it will come back down, right? So if we get buy setups at the top and you take it, you have to be very cautious. Now it's not moving really fast. There was a nice running flat here this morning. You're probably out of that already. You know what I'm talking about. And you're probably looking to see whether you still want to buy this. I don't think that's a good idea. I think we leave it and look for the turnaround. Yen is going higher. It broke two levels, right? And the guy who said he's going to stop trading probably stopped trade. I never saw him comment again and he didn't contact me to learn to trade. So he probably stopped trading, which is not so good. I hope he would continue to trade, right? So we broke this level and we were from here. We broke that level and we broke this stop. So what? There are two things only you can, two ways you would probably, looked at this and said, well, okay, did we make a mistake in a contracting flat? Did we overlook the possibility of this being a contracting flat? I don't think so. I re-looked at it this morning. That's what I'm telling you. I don't think it's a contracting flat because I can't see that, possible contracting flat in there, which means it's left us with a running flat. And a running flat that is a weekly running flat, we can break this stop quite a while. I think we could even do this and continue to go there before we get this back, right? I think we all know that. So once you break this stop, it could probably go a bit more before you get that running flat into play. And then you get that next one, right? It's going to happen. The question is, okay, how high would it go? So what we can do here in the 1 hour, take every flag you get. You're getting some momentum is dying out. I think we can see that. You have divergence between this and all of this. It could still be a running flat and one more up, or it might be this is all the correction and we just, at some point. But here's the thing. Every sell setup you get, you still take it. Don't miss a single sell setup, at least now when you broke the top, right? It doesn't matter whether it becomes a break-even trade. We took a number of them already. And if you want to take the buys, well, if you get a very good flag and you decide, well, I'm going to take a try, Worst case is you try to get it out for break even or reduce your risk, get smaller losses, right? But every sell setup we get, we'll take. Absolutely. And as of now, we will take it in a lower time frame. So keep your eyes focused on that. I'll be in the room all day today, most times. We'll do as many sessions as we can today. Any turning at any point, you know when they want to turn it, they tend to stretch it first. You tend to get that stretching movement, and then it starts reversing back. Let it reverse, we'll get a trade. Euro New Zealand, let's go. Okay, so this turned out to be more of a sharp wave. Take that out. That was when we were making this small flat, not when it dropped like this. But if you take a trade, you got break even. Now I think we could be looking at something forming here as a running flat, because you do have a correction in this one here. See, you have that. Could it be? I don't think this is part of this as a running flat. That's an impulsive move up. So this would be a correction of its own, or we get a bigger correction in the future. So can we take this to be the one that goes up to the top there? I think absolutely. We discussed that in the trading room already. And well, it didn't break this low, but that's okay. It will be a contracting flat on the bigger time frame. And the middle will be a running flat, right? Or it will be a running flat, basically, because you are still broke that low. So expect this to pull back here. And then we'll look for a buy setup. That will take us to the top. You do have a flat here, so I think that's normal. Let's see if we get it, pull back some, and then we look for the buy. Euro Aus, similar. If you took this one, we had it here when we thought this was going to be a flat. We thought this here was going to be a flat. Actually, it pulled back. It's doing this. It's going to pull back here. So this one is not a trade as well. Take it off. It actually went lower, so take it off. You're looking at something like this now. So this one should come back to about this level here. Go back up. I think we'll be looking at this as a flat. 1, 2, 3. This would probably be another flat. Come back down here and then probably go. This would be the first one. This would be a lower degree. So we'll get a big flat here and then upside. After which we'll see whether it drops. After that, we'll relook at the 4 hour and see whether we're looking for any possible downside. Well, if it makes the bigger flat in here, which means if we come here, we go there, we come back here, and we go there. If we get this flat here, I think we already know where a B wave is, right? We already have the first big consolidation in all of this. We just work our way from that point onwards, right? Pretty easy. So this would be easy to trade, actually. So you guys should focus on this quite a lot, because if it does what we think it's doing, then it's become very easy, right? And I think it's clear that this should, once this come back here, we look for the buy. And then we keep our eyes on this pattern. Euro Swiss. Okay, it will go, but not so fast. They're all consolidating. All the Euro pairs are consolidating in a range here. Go back up, come back down, go. Right? So don't try to get this one, but if you get it, try to get it for break even. When it pulls back, make sure you get this one. Where would that take us? Well, only this move up. I don't know why it's the flat is such a big one. We're expecting a smaller one like this. Maybe take the trade. Take the trade and see if they do this and come. Remember, this one here more turned out to be a contracting flat. It didn't actually go. So take this to that level, and then we'll see for the downside here. I will have to come back here before we go to complete this one. If this becomes the most corrective part, well, then we know we'll have a much more complex pattern. Euro yen. This is the only one you probably could have bought, because we would look at this as a running flat, right? You can keep that as a running flat there. Take this out. And this here could have been, a good buy setup to go with up and up. So now, I think this is a correction of its own. That's finished. We broke the top a second time, no problem. It can go a little higher. I think, they can go to the 270. We discussed that possibility. There's a lot more for it to go. It can even come and break this top, right? So any buy setup we get, we'll take. It will eventually come back down, right? Let's see if it goes break the top or not. It will just wait. This will mostly be a yen trade to the downside before they go back up, right? So we'll follow the yen most likely. Like this up move here is the yen. So if you took the buy, not a bad idea. Again, we'll look for the sell setup because we broke the top. Any sell setup we'll take, any buy setup, you'll take it with caution. Euro pound, well, it's consolidating, so you might get a sell setup here eventually. Take this off. It's not, we'll look at a pattern, but it's consolidating. I don't think it's finished. It's going to take a while. Pound Swiss. Okay, take that off. That's a good buy. Closed. What is the big picture of this? Okay, so this one was the low. I think this, which one is the low? Let's see which one actually is the low. This, I think this one here is the low. So let's assume this was the first impulse up, or can we actually look for a bigger flat here? Is there a possibility we're looking at a bigger flat forming here before we actually break the low? There are a number of places where we had bigger flats, deeper consolidation before you break the low, before it comes break this low and then go back up. We broke the low already, so we don't need to break it again. But it's possible that they can go. We do have a flag here. This could be a sell setup. Take it as a short-term trade. But if we're correct about this flat, right, you can take this as a short-term trade, get break even if this becomes a consolidation for upside. Let me take this out. So if we think this is the low, that's a 1, 2, this is going, then they'll probably drop and do this. And if we see this, we can assume it's going to go up, which means you get break even. If it drops sharper to the bottom, it will make a new low. We'll go with this as a running flat. I think we can make that argument. You can even pull it from this one. It wouldn't make a difference, right? So we'll see which one we're getting, but right now it's a sell setup. Go to the 1 hour, let's see. Actually, it's a very good sell setup. You will get break even out of it if it doesn't go. Let's put it here for now. I think we can easily get break even out of that. EURUSD. This one dropped. That's a nice sell as well. I hope, well, the worst case is you got some profit out of it, not all, but some. It pulled back pretty deep and is dropping again. Okay, what the hell is going on here? Let's go back to the 4 hour. We're making new lows, so this is not the upside as yet. Take that out. We're just making more corrections within this B wave. So it's all still with, this is a flat of its own. But we're making something else here, another flat or something, right? Because you got a 1, 2, 3, this has to go back up. This here has to go back up at some point here. Complete that flat, drop again, maybe then go back up. By that time, we'll probably be doing something like this, either with this one or with that one. It will become a bigger flat. So it's just consolidating. We haven't completed this bigger pattern, which means we still will get this up eventually, right? This wasn't the one that go. It means you make another flat. So you get 1 flat, 1 flat, right? This one go back up here, come back down here, go back there, you get another flat. You drop again, you go back, complete that one, and then drop. So let's see if we get any trade in this piece. Pound New Zealand. Okay, put it back on the 1 hour. It did drop, didn't go very far. So you had a lot of time there. Even with this green one, even if you closed anywhere here, would have been good. It's making a running flat now, so we'll go with this running flat. Look for a buy setup, but not from there. That you can keep an entry there if they go really fast, but you look for a buy setup somewhere from a lower point, right? So put it in a 4 hour. Let's see, where did this go? Take it off. We still don't have anything for this sharp one, so we'll get that somewhere in the future. Maybe let me see in the 1 hour if we can put that anywhere. Nope. I don't see anywhere to put that one. Probably somewhere in the future, we'll get a running flat. Let's see where we are in the bigger picture. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This was the one I accidentally moved. We could be making a bigger correction here. They do make bigger corrections, right? And then they go. There's a lot of places where we get really huge corrections before they go. So this could be some kind of a bigger correction here now. And we've just started it. So pull back here, make a new high. It's probably going to come back down. Maybe go back up. Come back down. We'll probably get another up and then the downside. So we'll have to complete all of this. all the pieces of it. It's still one impulse to the upside as of now. Funkad, it broke. So I don't know if anybody got the trade. Wait for a flag. Let's see if we could have got the trade anywhere there. I think you'd have to go with this one. That one broke the top, but it didn't really go higher. It just stopped short there. So it's a 1, 2, 3 there, and we're coming down. Put it like this. Wait for a flag now, because it's gone. There's nothing you can do. You just have to wait for a flag. Wait for a flag, get in the trade. There's more downside to it. They're coming to probably tag this low. Yep, let's see if we get a flag. We get the trade. Pang Yen. If you bought this one, that was this one on Thursday, you probably closed it there. If you bought that one, good for you. Right? It's a running flat. It will be a running flat. There's no question. But if you bought that, good for you. Now you want to move your stops very tight because it is a running flat. And that means at some point this here starts coming back down. Right? We'll have to get one of this down. And then go back up. That would be a running flat. So it's not necessarily from here. You can make another flag and go make another flag, go, and then you get it done. Right? That is for YouTube viewers. My traders got that already, right? So we'll see. Any sell setup we'll take, any buy, we can still take it with caution. Right? Thomas. We'll get a running flat, we'll get a buy setup. It's coming here, you're gonna get a small running flat here. And you'll probably get a buy setup there. Aussie Swiss. Okay, it's going up now though, but it's going to go up more as a correction. See? So we'll probably be stuck here for a while. Going sideways. Can it drop from that point? It can. So let's see if we get the seller to buy first. You're getting the buy first for the upside, right? You're getting the buy for this one up first. Probably get a buy to break this top. And then we'd look for this, and then downside. If it makes that pattern, we'll go up with the sell. What if it goes up all the way to the top? Well, if we get a flag, we'll consider the buy. If we get a flag and the break of this here, somewhere here, if we get a flag, we'll consider a buy. So if it stays here, give you this, we'll look for a trade to break that top, and then we'll see how high it goes. Aussie CAD. Okay, so it's where we want it, right? It got to the where we want it. We can make an argument for this running flat. Take that out. So now it has to tell us, is it a running flat or are we trying to go down more, right? I think it's a running flat. Looks perfect to me. So we can start to look for a buy setup from here going now. If Aussie is going down, if the Aussie dollar continues to go down, this is going to be a tough one to get this to go up, right? It might still drop. And we might retest the lows, but if Aussie goes up, this is a perfect buy setup. So if we start to see any buy setup we think is happening on the Aussie dollar, we go with this. This is the buy you definitely want. You don't want to miss it, right? If you get sell setup forming, go with Aussie yen, maybe Aussie CAD, sorry, Aussie dollar or something, not the Aussie CAD. So this would be perfect buy setup if we get it. Aussie yen, let's say. Yeah, if you get any sell setup, go with Aussie yen. No question asked. Right? I think we look at this as some kind of a big flat somewhere in there. Maybe with this piece, and then we'll see where we put that part. Right? So yeah, if you get sell setup, go with this one. Come back here, complete this flat. And then go back up. See? We still have this. Somewhere in the future for this, and then up again. Completing this pattern. So, yeah, there is a sell setup forming. Aussie, New Zealand. Maybe a bigger flat and then continue to go. That is this one here. Go up, drop, make a big flat here, and then continue to go. New Zealand, Swiss. I think that was a buy we had here or something that I don't know what that was. Take it off. We're making some kind of a correction here, which might be a good sell setup forming. This piece here, this gives you a sell. It's going to drop here. You'll get a sharp wave back up here, and then another drop. Because you're getting the consolidation phase right now. But this looks like it's going to drop. It might stay here for a while before it goes back up. New Zealand CAD. Okay, so we might go retest the low eventually. I think we're looking at a number of patterns like these already, right? So we will probably retest this low, come here. And then from that point, can it drop through the bottom like this? It's a slowdown move. I don't think that is what we're expecting. It's possible, or you could go back up from here and retest the top. So which one it's going to be? Well, let's sell it first, get to the bottom, and then we'll see if it turns. You probably want to pull back. If you're selling here, be careful, right? Any flag like this, you got to be careful. You probably wanted to pull back like this, and that becomes a perfect sell setup, right? If it does pull back, we get a perfect sell setup. But if you're taking any sell here, you have to keep a stop above this. New Zealand yen. Okay, this did drop. It didn't break the low. So take that off. It actually went back up, which if you take this out now, we're actually making a big flat here. What the hell is that? This is not going to be the final move though. That's for sure, right? This is turning out to be a bigger flat here. Even if it breaks that top, we're still in the correction. So the question would be, is this all the correction and this is making a big flat for a new, kind of an impulse down, or is it still in the correction? Are we still in that correction? Let's wait and see. If we get sell setups, we'll consider it. It's still in the correction, so any sell setup is still a good trade. Again, we broke the top. I don't think this is all the correction. I think the Pongian is the sharpest of them with that wave. They all have this very similar setup, but the Pongian is the sharpest. So if we start to get sell setup, we'll go with it. If you get a buy, you can take that with caution as well, right? They all are running flats now, which means more upside. Swiss yen. Okay, can we look at this? I think we were discussing whether we would look at this eventually as the running flat. This one. It's possible. The trade should have been here. That was the sell. The buy should have been here. I think you guys should have seen this. My traders definitely see that. You could make an argument for that. So this was a buy, break it. We already broke the top. So I think we'll go with that as a running flat. That broke the top, right? So come back to the 4 hour. If that's the running flat, we're breaking the top. We have divergence. Okay. Any sell setup will go. It can go higher than that. So any flag you will buy with caution. All right, let me take all of this out. We don't need them anymore. That was the buy. Take that out. There was a sell here. I closed it already. And this would have been the buy. Take it out. It's useless. I don't know if any of my traders took it, but that's a perfect buy setup. Now we'll watch this and we'll wait. Is it going to break the low? Is it going to come back from this point, or is it going to make a more complex pattern? Cat Swiss. Okay, take this out. We broke the top, so we'll have to go with this is all the correction. Take this out. Anyway, we might go with this is all the correction here. And this one is going to retest the top. What's the bigger picture in this? I don't think it's a takeoff. This is the biggest correction here. And then you just got another correction here. So break that top, come back here. Right, it has to come back down to this level, and it might even be more complex than that. If we take this to be the B part, this will become the B part. I don't see this taking off. So at the top, they will be cautious. I wouldn't take any trade at the top. They will wait. Right. And let's go with this. Go back to the 4 hour. It's trying to go somewhere. It's not breaking out as yet. So take this off, put it like this. This one will go break the top, but it's slow. It's really, really slow. Take that out too. Stay away from it. There's the clear buy or sell setup as yet. Let's wait. When we get it, we'll take it. So, okay, guys, that is for the Forex part of it. I hope you liked it. I hope it helps some of you because I tried at the very early part to explain to YouTube viewers, how patterns work because they're a little confused sometimes, especially when it doesn't go the way we expect it to go. Right? Or the way we forecast the first move didn't work. They got all confused. So if you like it, share it. I would post the second part later today. We'll take a break and come back and do the second part. My traders, I'll close the room. We come back, we do the second one, right? See all of you in a couple of minutes. Just a couple of minutes. I'll be right back.